Welcome to Phoenix Rising, a superior podcast for all of your transformative tools for personal and spiritual growth. Let's go get that nugget. Hey guys, it's Jen Mack, Lady of the Mind. Welcome to today's episode, where I hope I am finding you going from depressed to your elevated best. If you are not moving towards your elevated best, then it is my intention that in today's episode, I give you just one nugget of inspiration towards your transformation. If you're listening to this podcast, that is what you want. You want transformation in some area of your life, whether it's your health, your wealth, your relationships, or deepening your connection to self, your connection to source, your connection to the people you love. So in today's episode, I'm actually going to break this one into a 3-part series, and it is called Going from Depressed to Your Elevated Best. So many people lately have been talking about being depressed. And I have been feeling that for the last couple of, probably several weeks. And it's been intermittent for probably the last couple of years. Well, if you know me and if you've listened to my podcast, you know that I love to study the mind, how the mind works, the words, the thoughts, our subconscious mind, our conscious mind, and the energy of our emotions. Well, when I feel depressed, I dive in and go, okay, I don't feel like doing anything, but I don't always let myself not do anything, right? I have a business to run. I have a family. I have a partner. I have a house. I have 2 dogs. I have a lot going on. And I don't always let myself off the hook for the whole day to just lay around and do nothing. I try to, if you will, combat the depressed state. Well, here's the thing. Here's my eye-opening experience. I really hope that you do listen to all 3 of these episodes, because I'm going to take this, quote, depressed state and I'm going to flip it on its head. Because when I get something that is redundant in my life, I want to pull that apart and go, okay, what is actually going on here? What's the purpose of this whole thing? Why do I keep getting this message? Because I do believe that there's something bigger out there that is letting us know that we need to change. Something needs to change in our lives, or we're kinking the hose and we're going to build pressure in our body. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to feel disease. I don't want to attract disease. I don't want to feel pain in my body. I want to live a very free, awakened, enlightened life. As best as I can, I want to get there. I want to feel what it feels like. So in order to do that, I have to master my mind, manage my emotions, and start doing things from an elevated perspective. So with feeling depressed lately, I've been like, okay, what does depressed feel like? What is the energy state? And I go into my body, I turn my awareness inward, and I go, okay, what do I feel like? It feels heavy, it feels slow, sluggish, dark, damp. I mean, it just feels like basement, doesn't it? It just feels like crawl space. And if you don't know what a crawl space is, it's basically a tunnel under your house. If you live in like the northern states that don't get flooding, it's like a basement, but it's just like dirt floor, and you can like access the pipes, and you have to literally crawl under your house. I don't have a crawl space. I've been in one. I know what they feel like. I have a basement, but either way, it's a very dark, heavy, slow moving space. Well, now take that apart. If it's a slow, dark, heavy moving space, okay, it doesn't move. There's not flow. Okay, so I'm going to take each of those words from my normal energy work. I'm going to take each of those words and I'm going to go, okay, if I didn't feel that things were slow moving, what would they feel like? Oh, they'd be like in the flow, like flowing. And things don't have to be super fast, but just faster than depressed. Okay. Just like moving a little bit, right? Has a little bit of flow to it. Okay. If it didn't feel heavy, what would it feel? Ooh, light. Yeah. Like light and spacious. If it didn't feel dark, what would it feel? Light, in a different light, like light from above, like you turn the light on. Nobody wants to be in a dark, damp basement. There's creatures down there, right? There's hairy, 8-legged creatures. You don't want to be a part of that. So turn the light on. Okay, so I get it. All right, so let's do that. Well, that helped. I was able to function better. I was able to come alive. I was able to be present. And I was meditating on this. I've been journaling on this. And you've heard me talk about some authors that I really dive into. And it was some of these older authors like Joseph Murphy, Neville Goddard, going back in time to these authors and these enlightened beings and how they describe it. Well, I'm not going to get into the teachings here, but I will say one of the ways to get out of this depressed state is like what I'm doing with my energy work is I flip it on its head. If I'm feeling this and I don't like that feeling, then I ask myself, what would I like to feel instead? If I didn't feel depressed, what would I like to feel? And in this moment, when I ask myself this question, I want to feel in the flow. Because as an entrepreneur and as someone who's stuck and or as a coach, I don't want to feel stuck. Stuck is kinking the hose. Stuck is dis-ease. Stuck is a cesspool. It is this grossness. There's no flow to it, right? And I want to feel in the flow. So now I'm going to meditate upon that. Well, here's the thing that happened. And this is a thing that kind of got flipped around. I did a lot of work on this, but I wasn't getting in the flow. I wasn't unlocking. So I'm thinking this must be something different. This is a message coming from outside. This is not something that I'm creating in my life. Something is going on here, and it is not just me with depressed thoughts and beliefs. This is a message. And I keep journaling this feeling that I'm not really wanting to do anything, but I feel kind of neutral about it. I don't want to just sleep all day, which sometimes when I'm feeling depressed, I just want to lay in bed all day. It wasn't that. It's like, I just want to sit here. Okay. Think about that for a minute. When it was nice outside, I live in northern Michigan. It's pretty gray and dreary today and kind of rainy. But when it was nice out, I'm like, I just want to sit here in the chair and look outside, or I just want to sit outside, or I just want to sit in my backyard. And it was like, what does that mean? So I listened to, I've been studying hard for the last 2 months, definitely hard and deep, trying to uncover this whole thing. And this is what I'm going to be putting into this podcast series, is I listened to a Jim Carrey video today. It's a short on YouTube, and you can look it up. Go Jim Carrey's perspective on depression. And I'm going to take what he said because it was the best message that I've gotten. And I created this whole series about it based on the expertise that I have with energy work and emotional work and what he said. What he said is a friend of his who's a spiritual teacher, I think is Jeff Morgan or something. I forget the guy's name, but I don't know who he is. I know who Jim Carrey is. But anyway, he goes, his spiritual teacher told him, take the word depressed and change it to deep rest. And right there, I'm like, what an eye-opening deep rest. He goes, that's your body telling you, basically, screw you, and you need to let go of the character that you've built, and it's time to create a new character. One of my favorite things to do with a client who is looking to create the life that they want to live based on moving to a higher emotional state is creating a new avatar, creating a new character. Because if you think of your, quote, personality, it is a sum total of your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotional state, and your habits. And that creates this character, your avatar. And if you want to change something, you want to shift and change and elevate, those things have to get changed. All of them do. So in essence, you are picking a new character. Take somebody who is unhealthy, overweight, eats Twinkies all day, drinks Diet Coke all day, sits around and plays video games, that now speed them forward 12 months and you see them, they're running triathlons, they're running races, they're eating fresh fruit and vegetables, they're lean and mean, they have this body and this outlook, and they just look amazing, and you're like, what in the flap did you do? And what do you say? You're a whole new person. And they go, you're damn right I am. I had to change my beliefs. I'd use different words when I talk. My actions are different. I do different things. And then I have become a newer, better version of myself. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this series. I want to emphasize the name of my podcast is called Phoenix Rising. The idea of the Phoenix is that it grows and it becomes an adult, it becomes aged, and then it burns, it lights on fire, and it burns to ash, and then it rises anew from the ash. Now, that podcast name is out there. There's a lot of podcasts with that same name. And some of them have to do with personal development, but most of them don't. But mine I thought was very fitting because that's what we're doing. That's life, you guys. That is life. You move to a space in your life and you butt up against a ceiling. And then what you have to do is recreate yourself. And is it hard? It's not that it's hard. It's that it's a commitment. And it takes a lot of trust and a lot of faith in the process. But it's not, quote, hard. It's got some challenges to it, but the work itself is not hard. You just have to stick to it. And that's the process of life. You hit the ceiling and then you go, okay, so I have to change. Something has to change. And then you do this inner work. Things change. The ceiling raises up and you get to level up your life. And things change. This is not at all. You get to this place in your life and you go, oh, okay, well, I guess this is just old age. I guess this is just it. I'm depressed and now I'm just going to live on medication and I'm just going to try to feel better until I die. Dude, it is time to level up your game. So when we start today in part 1, it is about releasing what the current character is. So you are creating a whole new, you can call it, I like to call it an avatar. I have a whole program designed around creating a new avatar, and it's in my Chakras for Beginners, my Chakra Academy course on my website, the Enrichment Academy. So you go to theenrichmentacademy.com. On the top tab there, it says Chakra Academy, and you click on that. And right in here, it's like one of the courses is avatar creation. And it is such an amazing transformation. And I love the work so much because you don't just get to stay in that state. You come up to that depressed state and then you go, okay, wait, there's kind of the awakening part. You're being nudged to create a new version of you. Not like, oh, this is just the end of your life. Go to a doctor and find some medication. And thousands and millions of people are doing that today. And it is so sad to me that that's what they're doing, is they are numbing out that feeling and they don't understand the message. Well, here's the message, and we're going to cover it in this series. So this first part is that your body needs to let go of, burn down that character and rise up into a new elevated version of yourself. That depression is going to go away. And that's what's so amazing, that your soul and your spirit want to explore and expand. Well, they can't expand if you don't go. And so you are basically, think of the word depressed is you are depressing. You are like, and I'm taking two hands and I'm pushing down. You are depressing that spiritual state. That spirit wants to expand. Well, you are preventing the expansion. And thus you feel depressed. Do you get it? Depressed. You're pushing, you're holding it down. Like you're depressing a spring. What you need to do is let go. Isn't that a great analogy? It just came to me just now. You're depressing the spring, you're pushing it down, and what you need to do is let go. And what happens when you let go of a spring that you are pushing down? It pops up, boing, and it just pops up. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do over the course of this series. It's time to level up. It's time to elevate your thinking, your being, and your doing. So you get to create this new identity. You get to create this new version of you. You get to keep the things you love, and you get to let go of the things that no longer work for you. So this episode is about releasing the current character creation and deciding on a new version of yourself. Now, does it take a little bit of work? Yeah, it's a little bit of work. You have to write some things down. You have to journal. You have to, get into the avatar creation app, and you have to go, okay, who do I want to be? How do I want to think? What words do I want to use? What kind of version of myself do I want to become? You are becoming that newer, elevated version. And the new version of yourself is it's like, for me with my name, it's Jen Mac 2.0. And that's what you're creating. Okay. And that's going to come in part 3 is your name, V as in version, and 2.0. So Judy version 2.0. Bill version 2.0. Jen Mac version 2.0. Get it? Okay. So to release the current character, what do we got to do? Well, we have to reflect. These are your reflection questions. I'm going to keep this short. This is going to be your homework. Your reflection questions are going to be, what part of you is fueled by other people's validation. Meaning, I am a certain person, and I have to go out into the world and I have to have that person isn't the word, but revalidated or validated by other people. Am I good enough? Am I smart enough? I go to my job, which I don't have a job, but you do. You go to your job and you get validated by your coworkers, the customers, the patients, the clients, whoever you serve. Your boss validates you as a person of you being enough or you being not enough. Okay? What if you validated yourself? What if you just believed that you are enough? What if you used new words and new vocabulary that lined up with you feeling whole and complete, and you didn't have to get validated by anyone? You didn't have to get, people around you are getting promotions or raises or bonuses and you're not. You think they're better than you. And does that make you feel good or bad about yourself? What if it didn't matter? What if it didn't matter the people around you got bonuses and raises and it didn't matter to you? It didn't affect you one way or the other. You still felt validated. You still felt important no matter what was going on around you. So it's reflecting of what part of you is fueled by this external validation. That's huge. That's huge for me. I have to get validation from others. And I had no idea. I had no idea that this was a big deal for me. And I did a lot of research in the middle of the night, these sleepless nights that I've been having this last couple of weeks. I'm like, what is going on? And I have to choose this time. It's time for me. I am bumping up against my ceiling. So I'm going to do this work with you. I'm going to do this work right alongside of you, because just because I might be a couple steps ahead of you in my education and maybe my expertise in this work, it doesn't mean that I'm done. It doesn't mean that I'm done expanding or I'm done leveling up my own version, because I'm doing this work too. I've got journals like crazy, printed sheets and worksheets and journals and books and stuff all bookmarked and sticky notes all over the place, because I'm doing the same work with you. I'm doing the same work with you. Okay. So what part of me needs to be fueled by external validation? And I write those notes. Take that down, like record that in some way, whether you record it on your phone and you speak it out loud or you record it down in a journal. But what part of that? And then we're going to let that go. We're going to let that go. The next is, what are the limiting beliefs that you're holding on to that are weighing you down? So if I believe that I'm not enough, well, it's not going to be long before I'm hitting that ceiling, and I need to change that. Here's the thing. We have to understand that our beliefs create our reality. Our beliefs are our reality. My beliefs are different than your beliefs, and my beliefs are creating my reality and your beliefs are creating your reality. And that's why things aren't always the same. This is why I always talk about medication, where I say, how come Tylenol works for me, but Advil doesn't? And how come Advil works for you, but it doesn't work for me? It's purely based on our beliefs. Otherwise, it would work for everybody. It would work for everybody, but our beliefs make it so. Our beliefs create our life. So if we change our beliefs, dude, we change our life. So is there something that you're currently struggling in? Is there something that is going on in your life right now that you really want to change? This is the work, my friend. This is the work. And this is part one. So we're going to take an assessment of who we currently are. What are my beliefs about things? And I always give this homework, and you can do this one too. I love this work. This one's my favorite. Is take the thing that you're working on. Is it your health? Is it your career purpose? Is it your money? Is it your relationships? Take whatever it is you're working on and write all of the limiting beliefs about that thing. Write them all down. And then you pull, as you read them, which ones have the biggest trigger. Then you pull those few. And as you read that belief, you then say, as soon as you read it, you go, if that weren't true, what would be true for me? If I didn't believe that statement, what would be the new statement? And then the fun begins, because now you get to install that new belief into your subconscious mind, and it's going to pick it up and it's going to create a new reality. That's where we're at, and that's what we're talking about. Right now, in part one, it's all about thinking of the word depressed into deep rest. This is the state of being where you're going to go inward in this natural season of your life. Because when you are 1 year old, you created a new avatar. Subconsciously, you created a new avatar from 1 to 2. You started walking, you started moving, you started picking up everything, putting things in your mouth. Developmentally, you created a new version of yourself. from the year 1 to the year 2? How about the year 11 to the year 12? That's a big deal. How about the year 20 to 21? You created new versions of yourself. But here's the thing. Once you get to like a certain age, you like stop doing that. You stop creating new versions of yourself. All of that from 0 to 21, we kind of do that on accident. We just go with the flow because we go from high school to college. We went from middle school to we called it junior high, middle school to high school, or you go from high school to college or college to being an adult. Those are all, and we mold ourselves to fit this new role. You go from being single to married. You go from being married to having kids. You go from renting a house to owning a house. You go from this career to this career. Well, if you're in a new state, you just get to keep doing that. That's where we have to understand where life becomes fun, is that now I get to stand in this new role and create who I want to become. So we're going to let go of what's not serving us, and we are going to start creating the newer version of ourselves. Now, in the next episode, we're going to talk about nurturing the deep rest. What do I do during this period? What are the other things I'm going to do to reflect on the character that I was and move into the character that I want to become? I can't wait to see you in part 2. Thank you for listening. If you liked that episode, please subscribe, like, or write a review. Let me know how that landed with you. If you'd like to support this podcast, please check out in the show notes where you can buy me a chai tea, or you can join my newest podcast membership for exclusive episodes, guided meditations, and transformative exercises that you won't find anywhere else. Bring your journal, open your heart, and let's get ready for some serious transformation.